As we continue moving through the modules, the focus has shifted from the evolution of technology throughout the past to the evolution of technology in the future and how it is currently and will continue to impact society. Today's podcast will be discussing how technology shapes our society and the impacts of the information age. In Module 4, we listened to Stuart Russell's lectures on AI and how he foresaw it impacting various aspects of life, including warfare and the economy. Since the lectures were given in 2021, Russell followed up 18 months later to speak on AI again, as the use of AI rapidly increased after he gave his initial lectures on BBC Radio. In Living with AI, Stuart Russell addressed the increasing concerns that AI is an existential threat to humans and what it means for our future. Russell explained that intelligence is what gives humans the advantage over other species of the world, and if we create machines that are more intelligent than we are, we will lose that power. Albeit a scary thought, he continued that as long as there are regulations and laws on AI, it can be used safely without threatening humanity. But how do we regulate something that is growing and evolving so rapidly? And if politicians aren't experts in AI, how can they enforce policies that regulate it? To answer these questions, Russell explains that, like anything, general and basic regulations can be put in place to ensure the safety of humanity when using this technology. Similarly to the 3 laws of robotics, while they might not cover every minute detail of the use of robotics, they provide overarching standards that must be followed when creating and using robots. Politicians can work with people and companies that have more advanced knowledge of AI in order to create laws and regulations for the use of AI that will provide foundational standards. Which brings us to the next point that Stuart Russell made in his lecture. This idea that companies that use AI know everything about it and are keeping the sinister capabilities of AI a secret from the public. He explains that this is not true, that no one is truly an expert in AI. There are companies that are trying to understand how it works, but ultimately understanding these algorithms are a matter of trial and error. This is why creating regulations is so important to promising the safety of AI, because it is growing at an exponential rate and no one has quite cracked the code to how exactly it works yet. Similarly to AI, the rise of information technology raises many questions for our future and how it will shape society. In the podcast In Our Time, Melvin Bragg discusses the consequences of the information revolution, addressing the shifts we will see in many aspects of the economy, such as jobs, land, and machinery. While the information revolution is creating the globalization of trade like we've never seen before, it is also creating the spread of misinformation. He notes that while knowledge has always been a key factor in manufacturing, it now has a different significance as information technology shifts the value of knowledge to something that is intangible, the spreading of ideas, information, and images. Although this has drastically changed how we communicate on a global level, the immense size of these communication networks allow much more room for the spreading of misinformation, which has proven problematic. In the case of the pandemic, we quickly saw the spread of misinformation due to the high volume of information being shared globally, often causing mass panic and a slew of other issues. Bragg explains that misinformation isn't going to be the only change we see in society caused by the information revolution. As computing power rapidly advances, we will see an impact on work and daily life, as autonomous machinery takes over jobs and lessens the demand for physical labor, especially in factories. What does this mean for humans? Bragg explains that we will see a rise in working from home and knowledge and intelligence being the driving power behind the workforce. We will also see a shift in social institutions such as government, university, and philanthropy as technology encourages a social change. Ultimately, we will see a generational shift caused by the information revolution as technology changes how we conduct our lives. Given that the podcast was released in 2000, we are seeing many of Bragg's predictions coming true right before our eyes. The proliferation of information technology has drastically shifted how we conduct our lives in several ways. Some of the ways the information revolution has impacted our lives is discussed in Chapter 4 of Human-Built World, as Thomas Hugh discusses the change in life as we know it caused by the information age. He explains that education will be unrecognizable, how we spend time with our loved ones will be different, and that human identity will ultimately change as a result of the information age. We are currently seeing this shift as education is based in technology, beginning as early as grade school, How we spend our time by ourselves or with other people often involves technology in some way, shape, or form. And human experience or identity is becoming centralized around technology. Stephen Johnson explores this more specifically in regards to internet usage in Future Perfect. What does the internet want? As he discusses the change in how we organize information and communicate with one another because of the internet. He references the Occupy Wall Street movement throughout the section, as it was sparked by one tweet that became a 59-day movement against economic inequality. Another topic Hughes discusses in Human-Built World is systems management and navigating how we maintain such complex infrastructures. He describes system management as mess management due to its complexity, and notes that because of the intricacies of systems, it is not uncommon for these systems to be understood in parts by several people rather than as a whole. He also explains that because systems are interdependent on one another, a failure in one area can cause a cascading effect through the entirety of the system. He uses the loss of electricity in a city as an example, explaining that it could have a ripple effect, causing the halt of elevators, traffic controls, and public transportation systems. The same interconnectivity of systems can be seen in the BBC radio episode on credit cards. While they might appear to just be flimsy pieces of plastic, they are a part of a global financial system that is far more complex than what meets the eye. Because credit cards are merely the promise or representation of money and not actual tangible currency, a failure in one part of the system they are used in could cause financial mayhem. Throughout this module, we dove deeper into how information technology is shaping our society through the change in education, economics, and daily life, and what it means for our future. I think the key takeaway is that as the information revolution rapidly takes over our society, we must create regulations and policies to keep us safe. As Russell stated in Living with AI, no one benefits from technology or AI becoming uncontrollable. So it is in our best interest to develop foundational standards for the use of technology.